Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Knights, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are doing chapter 93 of The Captain's Heart. As always, when stepping onto Terex reach from the ship, Gralgiran felt a sense of excitement. Only a shuttle ride, and he would be on Kelsir proper, home. For all the difficulties his visit to the visit to his home world would caused him, for as much as he aimed to stay away, it was good to be home. He'd made the announcement, letting the crew and civilians know they could disembark, had reminded them they were only here. Don't know why I split that up. They were only here for a few days, longer than he'd prefer, but he needed to give them time to enjoy being back. The civilians were leaving the ship from the main dock access. He and the pack, looking over their charges, were at a less used access, waiting to hand over their charges to those to hand them over to those who would bring them the last part of the way to their full release. Incoming, the beta said at the same time Gralgiran saw the pack approaching. Isn't that a lot of them? One of the hunters commented. He counted 18 in civilian security uniform. Just who do they think we're handling them? We're handing them. Another said, keep in mind they're civilians. Another added, in a tone Gralgiran didn't like. A sense of superiority tended to happen among the hunters. They received harsher training, saw the front lines early, and they were the gods' hunters. But he tried to ensure they retained a respect for the other parts of Kelsir's security apparatus. Stand, the beta ordered in a normal tone, and he heard the hunters straighten, become alert. Now, under the eyes of their peers was not the time for reprimand. The large pack stopped, and their leader continued, a female with straight bearing and silver fur. Captain. She greeted him, then looked the hunters over without reacting. I'm Sergeant Karimar del Jerim Dorfikina. I'm here to relieve you of your prisoners. Released prisoners, he corrected. Their sentence are over. Of course. I'll take them off your hands now. Beta, you and your packs are released from your duty. You performed well. Thank you, Alpha. They turned and headed back into the ship. You, she motioned to his charges to the center of the hallway. Stand there. Form up, she ordered when they were in position, and the security pack moved to encircle them. She headed... that's a lot of them. Maybe stand there from... She ordered when they were in position, and the security pack moved to encircle them. Move to... That's stand around them. I'm gonna have to tolerate it. She stopped, and he walked. She headed for them, and he walked with her. She stopped and faced him. Where do you think you're going? With you. If you're going down, take a shuttle like everyone else. We don't do passenger. You're heading for the release center, correct? Of course. I have business at the administration building. It's simpler if I go with you. We don't do passenger. She repeated, tone clipped. Indulge me, Sergeant. I'm sure the leadership will be pleased. I'm there early. I'm there early with your help. He saw her look for a way to refuse him, but with the statement of gratitude came the implication the leadership would be displeased if he was late. While civilian security didn't fall under the leadership's direct control, all agencies keeping Kelser safe talked, and that displeasure might make its way down the trail until she felt it. If you come with us, I can't guarantee your safety from them. He canted in ear. Sergeant, they were on my ship for more than 5 months. Just what do you think we did with them? Locked them in cells and forgot they were there until we arrived? They were housed among my hunters. I interacted with them directly. But rest assured that if they decide to cause trouble on the flight down, I will not need your protection. Her ears folded back in restrained anger. Fine, she said in an even tone. I have warned you. If anything happens, that is on you. She headed for her pack. Look sharp. We have a passenger heading for the leadership. He saw worried tilt into ears. He expected they weren't used to having someone with more authority accompany them. They probably enjoyed a level of relaxation when it was only them and their charges. They wouldn't be willing to indulge in his presence. The walk to the security shuttle was tense, with glances in his direction they probably thought were discreet. Another female hunter was their leader as they walked and didn't hide her anger when she pointed at him. He did his best not to judge them. Civilians weren't held to the same standard as hunters or even the military, and it was just one flight. They'd get over the discomfort at some point. The flight was tense the entire way. He had a sense they'd expected him to leave the shuttle once it was obvious the only seating available was with their charges, under restraint. He chose to stand. He stood for the 2 hours the flight took. It earned him a mix of anger and admiration from the security pack that left him wondering what kind of training they'd received. Standing was almost exclusively a Hunter Alpha position, but they had to have received some training to resist duress. When the shuttle's door opened, they were the ones who showed relief. He figured that if not for their duty to their charges, they might have rushed out. They deactivated the restraints and escorted them outside. He followed them at a distance and let them deal with their superior. A male with gray fur and a torn ear, he was surprised to realize he knew. The sergeant pointed to him, and the male glanced, returned to her, and then stared, his ears straight and surprised. He motioned for them to take their charges further away and headed toward Gralgiran. Don't tell me, Gralgiran said, that they gave a no-teeth washout like you a rank. The male only stopped when their nose pad touched. I'll have you know that washing out of the hunter training still overqualifies me to run these civilians, Alpha Captain Gralgiran said near. The last he said mockingly, his grin showing a full set of teeth. Gralgiran pulled the male into a hug. You did well for yourself, Artemir. Although last I heard you were applying to the military. His friend shoved him away. Do you have any idea how those people are? It's all follow my orders, never mind what they want. At least as a civilian, when the gods set me on the scent, I can see what it's about. He nodded to the people waiting for him. I need to see to them. You want to go to my place after after that and catch up? Leadership is waiting for me. A valid excuse, and one that didn't require to explain further. As soon as they're free, I'll have to go deal with them. You don't have to stay. I'll take care of them. I know, but they were my charge for over 5 months. I want to see them free. With a nod, Artemir headed for the others. Gralgiran kept his distance. Welcome home, he greeted them. I know the journey to get here was hard and that you are unsure what comes now. Now comes whatever you decide. Who you were ceased to be when you were sent to the incarceration center. Who you were there remained there. Under the gods, you are born anew. Only what you do now will apply to you. Choose well, and you can build a good life. Fall back on who you were before, and you will have to look to the gods for help. I know the way forward seems daunting, but you are not alone. If you choose to ask for help, retraining is here to assist you. Take what you knew and help you apply it to a new life you want to build. If that reminds you too much of who you were, we have an education center specializing in teaching you new skills that will help you with your new life. If you ask, we will help you. He looked them over. The decision is yours. You are now free. They looked confused, and Gralgiran could understand them somewhat. Even on the ship, they hadn't been truly free. He always had someone around ready to help or to keep them from causing trouble. They probably didn't remember what freedom meant, the danger it represented. But their lives were in their hands now. He'd seen them home. Now he needed to see to his troubles. The only person on the leadership judgment board he knew was the Admiral Thromakarim Omerita Mil Selstafe, who sat in the center of the crescent-shaped table. On his left were a male and female, and two females on his right. Tolman hadn't been able to tell him who would be sitting on his judgment, since unless there was a reason to do otherwise, they were picked out of a pool of officers and administrators who had the applicable knowledge. His friends had confirmed this was about the Earthers, not that Gralgiran had needed the confirmation. He'd also confirmed the leadership had officially canceled their shepherding, which meant that regardless of how the Admiral felt, too many had agreed that the Earthers had gone too far to be acceptable. I'm guessing you feel pretty proud of your... I'm guessing you feel pretty proud right now, the Admiral said. I'm not aware I've done anything to warrant pride, Admiral. The female on the far right snorted. The honored hunter sniffs out another potential disaster for Kelsir and brings it to an end. The derision was thick. You don't think that's worth some pride? All I did was rescue my heart. Right, the male on the Admiral's left said. That's why this mess happened. He kept his hackle from raising. These people might not have been picked because they were the Admiral's allies, but the hunters had few allies among the leadership. They might have different reasons, but they were united in wanting to get him to act out, to give them a reason while in this room, while recorded. He stood and controlled his anger. He controlled his tone. My heart has a name. The man started. An Earther name, like any of them would ever get one of our hearts. As I told the Admiral, you are free to take this up with Turek-Samian and possibly just Biliam when you meet them in the forest. You can't prove he's your heart, the man snapped. He's just another fuck toy for That's enough, a female on the Admiral's right said, earning herself a surprised look from the others. The hunter might have many faults, but accusing him of depravity is uncalled for unless you have proof. Have you fucked the Earthers? The Earther, the male asked. His heart, the female snapped. Don't tell me you're not smelling the shit. If you'd lie about who your heart is, she said to Clanch, that's on you. To imply a hunter would him? That makes you a fool. He'd rather cut his dick off than say anything that might offend one of the gods. They couldn't decide if that was a compliment or an insult. But clearly, she didn't know him. He'd offended them quite often. Outright insulted them at times. Respect didn't mean he couldn't be belligerent when it suited the situation. That is enough, the Admiral said before the male replied. We are not here to debate the hunter's morality or lack of it. This judgment is in regards to the assault on an Earther station. It's about bringing an assault force on a Federation station against clear rules to the contrary. The Earthers kidnapped my heart again. And you should have contacted the station's security, let them deal with it. And trust others to the rescue of my heart? Gralgiran asked, unable to keep the disbelief from his slipping through. At least then we wouldn't have been fined. Do you have any idea how much your impulsiveness cost us? He ground his teeth. They were trying to get him angry, equating his heart to Curon. Is that Curon or Curon? Is there an R there? Nope, there is an R. Like any of them could know how stupid the comparison was. The female on the Admiral's right looked away. She understood, which meant she had a heart. That didn't make her an ally, but it gave them something in common. I'll pay whatever the fine was, he said. He meant it, even if he doubted he could afford it. The Federation didn't do fines on the level of individuals. The only one not to look at him in dismay was the female with the heart. Her expression was speculative. Reevaluating him, perhaps? Had he established how serious he was when it came to keeping his heart safe? Are you willing to hand over the ship to cover the fine? Not laughing proved difficult. Did the admiral think he didn't know the regulations regarding what a captain was allowed to do with his ship after 3 attempts to take it away from him? Tom might bear at him that he needed to do better to better plan how to deal with these attempts, but after the second one, he'd read all the regulations. Are you willing to lose your career and buy it from me? Lose your career and buy it from me, Admiral? The male narrowed his eyes. Do you need me to recite the regulation? A captain's right to a ship will end in the attempt of applying a value to it for the purpose of handing it over to a new captain, he said, not waiting for the answer. Any and all parties involved will be tracked down and prosecuted for the theft of Kelsir military property. If any parties involved are found to be part of the branches of dealing with the security of Kelsir, all ranks will be forfeit and they will be tried as civilians without any protection the previous rank granted. He smiled. So, no, Admiral, I'm not willing to sell my ship. You want me to pay the fine, go through the process, and have it transferred to me, have it transferred. I'm sure there is one, and I'll deal with that. But I need to make something clear. I am insulted that you are putting a value on my heart. Some people spend their lives hunting for them and aren't granted the joy of success. And just because my heart doesn't match your criteria of who the gods would send it to, it doesn't make him any less my heart. You want to keep trying to take my ship because you think it will somehow make me less of a hunter? You go ahead, but tread with care if you are going to involve my heart in those games. I assaulted an Earther station to rescue him. I boarded a Federation station with multiple packs to rescue him. I am willing to see financial ruin to keep him safe. When he smiled, he bared his teeth. Do you want a hunter, the favored one of 2 gods, to have a reason to go after you with all he's been taught, without care for the price he'll have to pay afterwards? If you do, then continue on this trail and see what comes of it. And that concludes chapter 93 of The Captain's Heart. If you are enjoying this, please leave a like. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read this story, it is available on Ream Story. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the notes. And with that, I shall wish you a good day.